So, yesterday I did a video talking about DC animated films I would love to see be made. Like DC Comics I would love to see made into animated films. I listed off a lot of them, but there were a few I forgot. And some of them are a little obscure, some of them are from other characters, but there are, like... I figured there was enough to make a part 2. But yeah. Yeah, so let's get started. So, first and foremost, I'm always excited to hear what you guys want to see. What kind of, like, stories do you want to see? Because personally, and this was what kind of spurred it, is that the Tomorrowverse is ending after the 3-part Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I'm pretty sure because DC's weird about this, they've always been weird about this, is that what they'll probably do if they continue with the DVD routes is probably not have them be like a shared universe like the past two have been. And what it will be is probably like a series of movies that will not be in any continuity. It will just be stories like they used to do before. Like, that was the first thing of movies, was just like, we're just going to do animated films of whatever. And some of them may be sequels, some of them not. It's not going to really have any continuity. And I kind of like that. I kind of like having a whole thing of, like, I don't need to collect every DVD and it'll be a hit and miss universe. Very much like how the New 52 animated films were, and the Tomorrowverse. Because there really hasn't been anything from the Tomorrowverse I've really liked. I still need to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, and I am excited that Part 2 will have Will Friedle come back to voice Terry in Part 2, and Part 3 will be Kevin Conroy's final performance as Batman. Thank God, because again, screw you, kill the Justice League. Again, I understand the people at Rocksteady had no idea that was going to be like Kevin Conroy was going to pass right after doing those lines for Batman. So I don't blame him for that, but it just stings more because of how good the Arkham universe was and how they ended it in that game. I've thought about talking about Kill the Justice League, but I'm like, a lot better people have talked about it, and I'd be just parroting the same criticisms as everyone else. So really, I have no skin in this game. I'd just be repeating myself. Although I have thought about thinking like how you could have done the story better, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so let's get started with the video. With the video. Finally, after nearly 3 minutes. So one storyline I thought of, and one I'd really love to see done, is a Superman-Batman story. And yes, they've done two. They did the first two, the Supergirl storyline, and of course Public Enemies. They did those, but I'm talking about from the Superman-Batman comics. There was another storyline that I read, and I was like, this would be a perfect, absolutely perfect DC animated film. And it sucks because this would be right up Tim Daly and Kevin Conroy's kind of like, this would be perfect for Conroy and Daly to do as Superman and Batman, but we can't have that. So I would say this would I don't know who you could get for Batman or Superman for this. It'd probably be some actor, like B-list actor or something. I don't know. They do that a lot. But I'm getting off point. Sorry. And that storyline, finally getting to the point, is that storyline is the search for kryptonite. The search for kryptonite is literally what it says. Batman, after Superman is nearly killed in an accident involving kryptonite, he basically goes to Batman saying, I want to get rid of kryptonite from all over the world. And he and Batman go on this quest to wipe kryptonite off the planet, and finding it everywhere, and battling like Metallo. They even battle Aquaman. It's a cool thing because it even culminates into them battling Amanda Waller, who's created a doomsday with kryptonite. It's a really cool fight scene, and it's a really great story for Superman and Batman. It's a really cool Superman-Batman of how much they trust each other. Yes, I know that if you've read the comic, there is an ending that kind of almost contradicts that, but still, it's Batman being Batman. That's all I can say if you haven't read the comic. But like I said before, that storyline, The Search for Kryptonite, I always said, like, why hasn't this been made into a comic? I'm serious. Like, why was this never made into a actual storyline? I never got it. Like, I never understood why this never got to be an actual comic. And I don't know, it just bothered me, you know? But it's so perfect, and it's the right amount length to it too, for an animated film. So that's my first one: Superman, Batman, The Search for Kryptonite. Secondly, let's move on to another one, and this one is a Green Arrow story. And I feel like Green Arrow has been around long enough to make people go, all right, I want to check out a Green Arrow movie. Also, it'd be kind of cool to get Stephen Amell to voice Oliver again. That'd be really awesome. And that is Green Arrow Year One. Green Arrow Year One is exactly what it is. It's Green Arrow. It's like a retelling of Green Arrow's origin when Oliver got lost on the island for 5 years. And again, it pulled, like, the Arrow TV show when it was at its peak, aka the first 2 seasons. We all know I'm right. The first 2 seasons of Arrow really pulled a lot from Green Arrow Year One. So I think it's perfect. And again, Stephen Amell would be really cool to have him voice Oliver in the animated film. You can make it R-rated. It was a brutal story. It's almost like Rambo First Blood, almost. It really does have that feel of like Rambo First Blood in a way. As for another Green Arrow story, the Longbow Hunters. The Longbow Hunter, when you really think about it, Green Arrow really has 3.5 stories that everyone knows him from. Year One, the Longbow Hunters, and Green Lantern, Green Arrow. That's really it. And to be fair, I haven't I really love Green Arrow as a character, but like I haven't read enough of him to be like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stories. I know someone's going to say like the Kevin Smith Sounds of Violence, which is a good story, and I think that actually could work. But like it's if you read it, there's some moments where you're just like, oh, Kevin. You know what I'm talking about. Automatopoeia is a great villain, but like there's just some dialogue in there that just makes you go, oh, Kevin. And if you've read the comic, you know what I'm talking about. I digress. But yeah, Longbow Hunters, it's a great dark story. It is like what is considered the definitive Green Arrow story, probably because there isn't a lot of them. But I think that'd be really cool too. So Green Arrow with Year One and Longbow Hunters would be my for those. Following that, let's do some DC Black Label. Like, let's talk about some DC Black Label that I think could easily work. What could work from DC Black Label and make it into an animated film? Obviously, we're throwing out Batman Damned, because no one wants to see Bat Dong, or maybe some people do. Who knows? Superman Year One? No, absolutely not. Superman Year One, that would not work. But there is a lot of good in Black Label that I would love to see get animated. One, The Rogues. It's a story, and the problem with Black Label is that, people complain about, like, oh, it should be called DC Bat Label because it's all Batman books. Yeah, well, Joshua Williamson wrote a really good Flash Rogues comic, and nobody read it, so shut the fuck up. What it is basically it's set, like, in the near future, and Leonard Snart he's old, he's on parole, and he's just looking for one last score, so he gets the Rogues together, and they go to rob Gorilla Grodd in Gorilla City. Boom. That's a great animated film. Like, I would absolutely love that. Like, it was basically Reservoir Dogs with supervillains. That's a perfect animated film. And again, we've clearly seen that DC is really wanting to break more into, like, wanting to do more R-rated films and are more comfortable doing R-rated films. And this movie would definitely be R-rated because there's some really fucked up shit in there. Anyway, so the Rogues would be really cool. I don't know if how much it would make, like how many people would be interested, but still, the Flash Rogues are popular enough to make people go, okay, that's really cool. Following that, for another Black Label book I would love to see get adapted, Wonder Woman Dead Earth. I did talk about it a little bit in my previous video, but I'm going to go further into it. Wonder Woman Dead Earth is a post-apocalyptic story where Wonder Woman has woken up in the near future after the apocalypse and discovers that mankind has nearly been wiped out by what is called the Great Fire. I'm not going to spoil what that is. All the heroes are dead, and what's left of humanity is being hunted down by monsters who turn out to be mutated Amazonians. It's a whole thing. It's a great story by Daniel Warren Johnson. Again, I think I've talked about this before where I was like, Chris did tell me that he was sending me the book, and I did get it for my girlfriend as a Christmas present. I did read through it, and I was like, damn, I should have kept this for myself. But, yeah. Fuck. Yeah, so like I said before, I would love to see Wonder Woman Dead Earth get a animated film. Next up on the list is one that got canceled, and I hope it generates enough like feedback to get it done to be made, and that is Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Yeah, the people behind the Mortal Kombat animated films really pushed for a Mortal Kombat versus DC animated film. So yeah, they really pushed for Warner Brothers to let them make a Mortal Kombat versus DC animated film, which I would have been like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm one of those people who defend the game of Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I defend it for a few reasons. One, without it, we would not have the Mortal Kombat franchise reinvigorated. Two, we wouldn't also have the Injustice games without it. So, you know, is it a good game? Not great. It is not a great game, but it was basically building blocks for what came afterwards. So, at the very least, you got to give reverence for that. And again, you know, having a crossover film would have been really cool. So, I really hope they can figure something out and we can actually, or if you want, because you made it R-rated already, even though that movie was fucking god-awful, Injustice versus Mortal Kombat. There you go. There's your animated film, your R-rated animated film. If you don't want to, if Warner Brothers won't let you do like regular animated universe, then screw it. Just do, you know, have it be the two games that were inspired, that led to the creation of those two franchises, like led to the creation of those two franchises. There you go. Injustice versus Mortal Kombat. There you go. Next up, and this moving through another DC Black Label book, we're going to talk about another one, and that is Batman the Impostor. I think this could also be a really cool animated film because it's such a vastly different. It takes the realism of Batman. Like everyone wants to say, like, oh, Batman needs more, like, it needs to be real for it to be, you know, taken seriously. Well, this really just takes the realism of Batman and really turns it up to 11. Like, this is a Batman who's struggling. He's clearly out of his mind. It's a really good book. I rather enjoyed it, and I think like it would be a much different animated film from most. Even though I prefer like my Batman to have superhero elements. I did enjoy Batman the Impostor. It was a great detective story, and it again, like a lot, like it really took like the realism of what would really happen if Batman was a real person, and like explains it basically to everybody. Anyway, so Batman the Impostor, that's kind of an out of left field one. Another I think would be really cool. And we're going back to regular universe. Actually, one more from technically Black Label, but really it should be called Vertigo. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Sandman. With the popularity of Sandman, the live-action series, I would not be shocked, and in fact, I encourage the idea of DC doing animated Sandman films. I mean, they're already going to be doing Watchmen soon. I think they're doing that next year after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So Watchmen is getting one, so why not do Sandman next? Or like you could do it as like a anthology movie. There you go. Like it's like you could do all the short stories from Sandman and make them into separate, like a anthology piece. There you go. You could even do, like, what else? You could do, like, books of magic. You can do the, basically, like, there's a whole universe that you could really play with. And again, people would probably buy this because of how popular the Netflix live-action show is. So you could have some, what we call, synergy going on here. At least that's how I kind of see it, is, like, get that synergy out there. As for others, I had another one. Going back to the main universe, this is another Batman story. Batman and the Monster Men. Batman Night of the Monster Men, excuse me. Batman Night of the Monster Men was a DC Rebirth Batman event that basically had, and it's so perfect for an animated film, because it's literally Hugo Strange turns people into giant monsters during a hurricane that's hitting Gotham. And it's completely insane. I love it. It's very much a Batman event that came out of nowhere that no one asked for. And then I read it, I was like, this is so dumb, I love it. So I think it'd be really cool. Like, again, giant monsters are kind of a big thing, and Warner Brothers probably like, we could make more giant monster stuff with Batman? Okay. I don't know why I kept doing the head turn. But yeah, and for one more, and this one's going to sound completely insane, but hear me out. I think this does have a possibility to be made. Hear me out. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. I think that has a strong... and not only would I love to see that, I think it has a strong chance of being made as a DC animated film. Because right now the book is selling really damn good. Secondly, this is the Monsterverse. This is under Warner Brothers and Legendary, so they could do this as an animated film. They would probably have to still ask for Toho's permission on some of the monsters, but for the most part, it is just Legendary Warner Brothers monsters they can use. And it's their version of Kong and technically their version of Godzilla, so they wouldn't really need that much permission, unless there's a clause that says they can't do animated Godzilla. Which I'd actually, like, now that I think about it, that might be the only thing stopping them, because there might be a clause that in the contract between them and Warner Brothers, I mean, Toho and Warner Brothers, is that they, like, Warner Brothers can't make Godzilla animated films because Toho's doing that. Could be, who knows? But I think that has a strong chance of being made, and again, you maybe think, well, that's dumb, there's no way. Yeah. That's what we all thought when when Batman Ninja Turtles when the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover got made. Can we just take a moment to appreciate that that actually became an animated film? That Paramount and Warner Brothers were willing to work together on that. That's why I was kind of like, why didn't we get Mortal Kombat versus DC? So this could have a good... that's more of a Hail Mary, but I do think that has a chance of being made still. So that's my last one, Godzilla vs. Kong versus Justice League. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what other DC animated films would you love to see get... DC stories and DC comics would you love to see get animated films? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.